Lewis Hamilton did not hold back after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. He was open and brutally honest about what he experienced during the race in Jeddah. For someone who has won 7 world championships, competed in some of the most intense title fights in Formula One history, and driven cars that responded to his every move, what happened in Jeddah was something completely different. His words after the race made it clear that something deeper was going on, not just a bad race day, but a serious disconnect between him and the Ferrari SF-25. Hamilton described his experience with the car as horrible. He didn't enjoy the race at all, and it wasn't because of traffic, tire degradation, or a few unlucky moments on track. It was a more personal and frustrating issue. The car simply didn't respond to him. He tried everything he could. Adjustments to the setup, changes to driving strategy, experimenting with different approaches through corners, none of it helped. According to Hamilton, it was as if the car had a mind of its own. Every input he gave was ignored. He said, "I literally tried everything and the car just didn't want to work with me." That kind of statement, coming from someone like Lewis Hamilton, is more than concerning. While Hamilton struggled to even get a proper feel for the car, Charles Leclerc had a very different kind of day. He comfortably placed himself on the podium, driving the same SF-25. This difference in performance raises serious questions. If Leclerc can perform so well in the same machinery, why can't Hamilton? Is it really just the car, or is something else happening under the surface? This is where things start to get complicated. The SF-25 isn't a bad car, it's just inconsistent. One moment it's setting competitive lap times and putting a Ferrari on the front row. The next, it's refusing to cooperate with a driver of Hamilton's caliber. It's unpredictable, and that unpredictability is dangerous in Formula One. When a car is simply bad, the team knows what to fix. But when a car works for one driver and not for the other, it creates confusion, frustration, and in some cases, division. Hamilton said that it felt like the car was doing something different in the same corners on every lap. That's not how a Formula One car is supposed to behave. That's not something a team can just brush off. It shows that there is a serious lack of understanding between the driver and the machine. And it's not because Hamilton is washed up or past his prime. This is the same driver who has mastered difficult tracks in wet conditions, the same man who once beat Max Verstappen in a fierce battle at Silverstone, and the same champion who turned impossible title challenges into victories. This isn't about skill, it's about compatibility. The issue with Hamilton and the SF-25 is that they don't seem to trust each other yet. In Formula One, trust between a driver and their car is everything. When a driver pushes a car to the limit, they do it because they believe the car will hold the line. They brake late because they know the car will stick. They take risks because they understand the car's behavior. But Hamilton doesn't have that trust with the SF-25, not yet. This lack of trust is visible in his driving. There's hesitation in places where there should be commitment. There's uncertainty in corners where he would normally be confident. And all of this is not because he's lost his edge, but because he's still trying to figure out where the car's limits really are. Meanwhile, Leclerc is out there looking like he wrote the manual for the SF-25. He knows the car. He understands how it responds. And Ferrari has, over time, built the team around him, whether intentionally or not. That's a key part of this story. Leclerc has been at Ferrari for several seasons now. He's gone through the ups and downs, suffered through poor strategy calls, stuck with the team during rebuilds, and built strong relationships inside the garage. In return, Ferrari has developed their car with him in mind. His style, his preferences, his feedback, they all shape how the SF-25 behaves today. Hamilton, on the other hand, is new to the team. He's still learning how Ferrari works, how the engineers think, how the systems function, and how the car reacts to different situations. That takes time. Unfortunately, time is not something that Formula One is very generous with. There is constant pressure to perform, to deliver results, and to show progress. Hamilton's struggles are not just seen as setup issues, they're starting to be judged as personal failures by some observers. The paddock notices when one car is working and the other isn't. They see Hamilton struggling and Leclerc succeeding, and they start asking uncomfortable questions. Has Hamilton lost his adaptability? Is Ferrari favoring Leclerc? Or even worse, did Ferrari build a car that was never truly meant for Hamilton in the first place? These are not easy questions to answer, but they highlight the growing pressure on both Hamilton and the team. When Hamilton signed with Ferrari, it was seen as the start of something legendary. A great driver in a legendary car, chasing one final chapter of glory. But instead of a fairy tale, it's starting to look like a struggle. The chemistry between Hamilton and the car just isn't there yet, and that's not something you can fix overnight. What makes this situation even more complex is that Ferrari isn't the kind of team that easily changes its identity. It has a strong internal culture, deep traditions, and a specific way of operating. Drivers don't come in and take over. They adapt. They learn to fit into the Ferrari way. And that's what Hamilton is trying to do now. He's not just adapting to a new car. He's adapting to a new philosophy, a new environment, and a teammate who is already fully integrated into the system. Leclerc is not the problem in this story. He's fast, consistent, and dedicated to Ferrari. He has earned his position in the team, but his presence makes Hamilton's task even harder. Every time Hamilton has a rough race, Leclerc's solid performance highlights the gap. Every debrief that ends with "Charles felt something different" becomes a reminder that Hamilton is still the outsider, not by choice, but by circumstance. Right. Now Hamilton is in a difficult place. He's a legendary driver who doesn't feel connected to his machine. He's trying everything, changing setups, adjusting strategies, working closely with engineers. But the car still isn't responding, and that's draining, both mentally and emotionally. Because for a driver like Hamilton, racing is not just about speed, it's about connection. And without that connection, even the best driver in the world can feel lost. But it's important to remember that this season was never supposed to be the final verdict. From the moment Hamilton signed with Ferrari, the real focus was always 2025. That's when new regulations come in. That's when the teams reset. That's when Ferrari can design a car specifically with Hamilton in mind. 2024 was always going to be about transition, adjustment, and learning. It's messy, frustrating, and full of growing pains. But it's also necessary. What Hamilton and Ferrari need right now is trust. Trust in each other, in the process, and in the long